Welcome to Weaving Weird Studio. My name is Sig and this is my channel, and today I'm going to show you how to do this wonderful snowflake tree ornament. It moves pretty quickly once you get the pattern down. Even a beginner can learn how to do it. You just might have to take a little more time, pay a little closer to the instructions I give you, but I'm going to walk you through the entire thing. As you notice here, I have a top snowflake that I made, and I sandwiched that right on top of a larger snowflake behind it because I personally like this look. However, when we get to the end of this tutorial, I'll go over some ways that you can actually make this to reflect more of your own personality. So if you find value in this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you'd like to receive more of my tutorials just as soon as they are released, go ahead and hit that bell button so that you can receive instant notifications. Now let's get started. So what we're going to need for this project, we're going to need two different size hooks. One is a number 2, a 1.5 millimeter, and the other one is a size 3, a 2.20 millimeter. Also going to need a length of ribbon that you happen to like with your particular ornament. You're going to need a size 3 fashion thread for crocheting. This is Aunt Lydia's fashion thread. It is a size 3 and the color is copper. You're also going to need a size 10 thread. This is also Aunt Lydia's, and it is a silver on white metallic thread. Gives off a nice little sparkle. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do when crocheting this snowflake is you're going to want to make that adjustable ring. And then crochet 3 chains. Then you're going to double crochet. So now this chain 3 right here, this equals 1 double crochet. So it's a stand-in for a double crochet. So then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to do 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. And then chain 2, 2 more double crochets. Chain 2, 2 double crochets. And chain 2. And then 1 more and chain 2. So you're going to want a total of 6 of these 2 double crochets and chain 2 combinations. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten that circle. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch in the top of that first chain 3. And then I'm going to chain 3 again. And from here I'm starting row 2. So in the same stitch as the chain 3, I'm going to double crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that next double crochet stitch. And then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets in the next stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2. Do 2 double crochets in the next double crochet stitch. And then 2 more double crochets in the next stitch. So I think you can kind of see the pattern here in row 2. So on top of each of the double crochets that we had in the former row, in row 1, we're doing 2 double crochets just above that. So again, chain 2, and then double crochet, 2 double crochets in the next double crochet stitch. And then 2 more double crochets in that next stitch. Chain 2. And then, as before, 2 double crochets in that next double crochet stitch. And then 2 more double crochets in that next stitch. And then chain 2. And 2 double crochets. And then 2 more double crochets. And then chain 2. And that'll finish row 3. You're going to slip stitch in that third chain of the first 3 chain stitch of that row. And you're going to chain 3. So just a quick recap before we move on to row 4. You're going to have 6 sections, and each section is going to have 4 double crochets separated by 2 chains. So you can see your snowflake taking shape now. So for row 4, it's going to get a little bit trickier. And what we want to do is we want to put a double crochet in each of the double crochet spaces, but we want to crochet all those together. So this chain 3 is going to serve as our first double crochet for row 4. And then we're going to go and insert the hook into the next stitch. And then I'm going to pull through once. But we're not going to do it again in as you might think to do with a regular double crochet, because we want to crochet all 4 of them together. So we'll finish up that last stitch together, or the last step of the double crochet stitch together. So then we're going to yarn over, we're going to insert the hook into the next stitch, pull that through, and then pull a yarn through. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. And then again, yarn over, insert my hook into that 4th double crochet, and pull my yarn through, yarn over, and pull my yarn through 2 of those loops, those first 2 loops that were on that hook. So now, as you can see, we've got the beginnings of 3 regular double crochets, and then of course we've got the 3 chain here that's acting as a double crochet. So then I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn all the way through, and that creates my 4 double crochets that are crocheted together. And then what I'm going to do is then I want to have 7 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and I'm going to slip stitch right in here at the base of that 7 chain. And then, so now what I've got is, I've got something that looks like this. So you can see that the chains have created a kind of a loop on top of the 4 double crochets together. And it sort of gives you kind of the impression of an exaggerated peacock. So then I'm going to chain 4. And I'm going to do a single crochet in that chain 2 space. I'm going to chain 4. And then again, I'm going to do 4 double crochets, but I'm going to crochet them together. So yarn over, insert hook, pull yarn through, and then pull the yarn through just the first 2 loops. So you're leaving that loop on the hook. Yarn over, insert my hook, pull my yarn through, yarn over again, and pull that yarn through the first 2 loops. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, insert my hook into that 4th double crochet, pull through the yarn over, and then pull that yarn through the first 2 loops. So now you can see we have 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn all the way through, and that creates my 4 double crochets that are crocheted together. And then again, I'm going to chain 7. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a slip stitch right at the base of that chain 7. Then I'm going to chain 4, single crochet in the next 2 chain space, and chain 4 again. And we can continue around the rest of the circle. So 4 double crochets together. And then chain 7. Slip stitch at the base of that chain 7. Chain 4. Single crochet in that chain, in the next chain 2 space, chain 4 again. Then we're going to double crochet 4 together. Get your next 7 chains, and then go ahead and slip stitch that at the base of those chains. Chain 4, single crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 4 again, and then 4 double crochets together. And chain your 7, and then slip stitch at the base of that 7 chains, chain 4, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 4 again, And now you should have one more set of 4 double crochets together. So go ahead and do those. Your last 7 chain, slip stitch at the base, chain 4, single crochet in that last chain 2 space of this row, and then chain 4 again. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to do a slip stitch right here where the chain 7 loop meets the top of this double 4 or this 4 double crochets together. So you're going to go right in there. And you're going to slip stitch. And that finishes row 4 for you. So you can really start seeing this take shape. It really is a lovely little snowflake. Okay, so to start off with row 5, you're going to go ahead and in that first chain 7 loop, you're going to single crochet 1. And then you're going to do 2 half double crochets. And then you're going to do 4 double crochets. So you should look something like this. Then you're going to chain 4. And then you're going to do 4 double crochets in that chain 7 loop. And then you're going to do 2 half double crochets. A single crochet, all in that 7 chain loop. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part of this, what will be a continuing pattern around row 5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet in that chain 4 space twice. And I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to do a 3 chain picket. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to insert my hook in that 3rd chain from my hook. And I'm going to make a slip stitch. And for those of you who don't know, that'll be your first picket. And then I'm going to chain 3. And I am going to single crochet once and then twice in that next 4 chain space. And that brings us to our next 7 chain loop. I'm going to chain 1, or sorry, I'm going to single crochet 1, half double crochet twice, Do 4 double crochets, chain 4, four double crochets again in that chain 7 space, two half double crochets in the chain 7 space, and then a single crochet in that same chain 7 space. And then in the next 4 chain space, we want 2 single crochets. We want to chain 3, then do a 3 chain picket, and then chain 3, and then do 2 single crochets in that next chain 4 space. And that leads us to the next round of this pattern. Again, want to single crochet in that 7 space loop, and then 2 half double crochets in that same loop, and then 4 double crochets in the same loop, I'm going to chain 4. I'm going to do 4 double crochets in that same chain 7 loop, and then 2 half double crochets, and then followed that by a single crochet, all in the same loop. And of course, 2 single crochets in that next chain 4 space, and then chain 3, 3 chain picket, chain 3 again before doing your next 2 single crochets in that next chain 4 space. You can continue on just like that through the rest of the snowflake. Okay, so now we're towards the end of this, and I'm going to finish it off with, of course, the 2 single crochets in that last chain 4 space. And then I'm going to, at the base again of my loop, I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to trim off this last end right here. And then this tail I'm going to actually weave in before trimming. And so this is what it's going to look like before it's blocked. So now that you've finished and blocked this adorable little snowflake, and assuming you have already crocheted the back of the snowflake, it's the same exact pattern, just done in the size 3 crochet thread, which of course gives you a larger size snowflake, or at least the backing to this snowflake. You're then going to add your ribbon, and you're going to sew or glue on your white top smaller snowflake to give it a lovely effect. Just sewing this on is actually going to make it pretty stiff, but blocking is definitely going to help. So if you're not familiar with blocking, blocking is basically finding a blocking board and wetting your motif, your piece, and then stretching it out on the board and letting it dry. In this case, you might even consider using starch. There's many different ways to approach it, but typically some people will use a liquid starch and put a little bit of that in the water, or soak the piece into that liquid starch before they actually block it, or before they stretch it out on the blocking board and pin it down to let it dry. Other people, particularly if you're using the cotton crochet thread, I wouldn't recommend this with anything other than a cotton crochet thread that does not have this silver thread wrapped within it, right? Because the silver thread is really kind of a metallic-y polyester kind of thread, and that will melt if you use an iron. But if you're using just a straight cotton thread, like this copper snowflake behind it is actually made with just a straight cotton thread, you can actually spray starch that and iron it flat, and that'll help tremendously too with keeping it stiff. There's lots of different ways you can approach this. Some people even consider using a white glue, a little bit of white glue in the water, and that'll help make it quite stiff too. So you just lay your smaller snowflake on top of your larger snowflake, and this is what you have. You have this lovely snowflake motif that can be put on your tree. It can be used as a tag on your holiday packages. It has so many versatilities. You can give it as a gift. Like sometimes at work, you know, people exchange ornaments. This is a wonderful, sweet ornament. It's not going to cost you very much in money, and the time you put into it is worth the effort that you've used, and it means so much more. So we've come to the end of this tutorial, and if you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. You are amazing. All I have to say to all you wonderful and weird fiber artists, keep making that amazing art and those beautiful creations, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye now.